Alright, so here is a completion of a bunch of hard geometry questions. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so in the figure, AC is equal to CD, okay? And the measure of angle EBC is going to be 45 degrees. Alright, now the measure of angle ACD is going to be 104 degrees. ACD, 104. Okay, and now we're trying to find the value of x. So before I do anything, I want to see that, I want you guys to see that this angle right here is going to be 76 degrees, because these two angles are going to be supplementary when they're essentially divided by a line like that. Okay, now the other thing I want you to see is that AC and CD are indeed like congruent, right? And because of this, right, and since this is 104 degrees, that means their base angles are congruent to each other. So angle A and angle D are both equal to 38 degrees respectively. Now, because we know this, we can do our next step, which is finding this little angle here. Now for that little angle, we can just do 180 minus 76 plus 45. And that's going to equal to 59 degrees. Now this little angle will be congruent to this little angle here because they would be vertical angles. And since this is also 38 degrees, all we have to do now is 180 minus 59 plus 38 degrees, which would give us 83 degrees as the answer. Alrighty, so in the figure shown, points Q, R, S, and T lie on the line segment PB, and line segment RU intersects line segment SX at point W. The measure of angle SQX is 48 degrees. So SQX, this angle right here, 48 degrees. 48 degrees. Okay, and the measure of angle SXQ is going to be 86 degrees. So that means if this is 48 and this is 86, I can just do the math here, 134, this would be 46 degrees, right? Now, the measure of angle SWU is 85, SWU, 85 degrees, okay? And the measure of VTU is going to be 162. So if this is 162, we also know that this is 18. Because supplementary angle rule, right? And what is the measure in degrees of TUR? So this is essentially our x. And we know that this is 18. We can also take a look at our supplementary rule again, make this 95, and we can find our angle R in RSW. And that would be 180 minus 95 plus 46, right? So that would equal 239 degrees. So if this is 39 degrees and that's 18 degrees, what is our x going to be? 39 plus 18 is equal to 57. 180 minus 57 is going to equal to 123 as your answer. Okay, let's take a look at our next question here. Intersecting lines R, S, and T are shown below. What is the value of x? Okay, so if we know that this is 106 degrees, we know that that is going to be 74 degrees. Okay, 74 degrees. This is 23. This would be 97. This would be 83. Then you would just do 180 minus 83. So that would equal to 97 degrees. That's your answer. Okay, so square A has a side length that is 166 times the side length of square B. The area of square A is K times the area of square B. What is the value of K? So let's make our little squares here. Square A and square B. Okay. Now square A has lengths that are 166 times the lengths of B. Okay. So that just means this is going to be so this area is going to be times the amount of area of the B, because x squared has a coefficient of 1. 166 times 166 is 27,556 x squared. So that means it's 27,556 times the area of square B. So this would be your answer. Okay, so number 5 here. In the figure above, M, Q, and N are intersect at point P. M, Q, and P are intersect right there. NP is congruent to QP, and NP is congruent to PR. And we're told to find the value of QMR, so this angle here. So what I'm gonna just do here is see that, okay, this is 60 degrees. Vertical angles would cause this angle here to be 60 degrees. And that means in a whole circle, right? If these two parts are 60 degrees, and we know a whole circle has to be what? 360. This side and this side would have to be 120 degrees. So in the triangle of, let's see, PMR, if this were to be 120, that would mean that M and R would have to be 30 degrees respectively because it's an isosceles triangle. So if this angle was 30, this angle would be 30. So regardless of what, even though we're getting the triangle PMR's angle value, it's going to be the same for QMR. So that's why 30 degrees will be your answer. Okay, so a cube has an edge length of 68 inches. A solid sphere with a radius of 34 inches is inside the cube, such that the sphere touches the center of each face of the cube. So nearest cubic inch was the volume of the space in the cube not taken up by the sphere. Okay, so what we're actually going to do here is get the volume of both shapes and then just subtract them. It's just as simple as that. So V of C for cube, is going to be 68 cubed, right? And V of S is going to equal to 4/3 pi 34 cubed. Now I'm just going to pull out this calculator here. So I'm going to say C is equal to 68 cubed and S is equal to 4/3 pi 34 cubed. And we're just going to do C minus S. And that's going to give us roughly A as our answer. Okay, so for question 7 here. In triangle ABC, the measure of angle B is 90 degrees. Okay. Let me just label the triangle here. And BD is an altitude. Okay. We can construct a point D here. And the length of AB is 15. And the length of AC is 23 greater. So that means that's going to be 38. Okay. Now we're trying to find the value of BC over BD. BC, if we take a look actually, that's going to just be our hypotenuse. And BD is going to be one of our bases. So it can be the same as the proportion of AC over AB, which would equal to 38 over 15. So that means D is going to be our answer. Okay, so the figure shown is a right circular cylinder with the radius of R and the height of H. A second right circular cylinder not shown has a volume that is 392 times as large as the volume of the cylinder shown. Okay, and which of the following could represent the radius R and H of the second cylinder? So what is our cylinder formula, right? So C is equal to pi R squared H. So say our radius is 1 here, and say our H is 1 for our initial cylinder. That just means our volume of C is just going to be pi, right? Now, how are we going to find a volume that's going to be 392 times our pi here? So whatever our second cylinder is, it's going to have to be 392 pi. So let's take a look at our options. If our radius is 8r and our h is 7h, that would mean 8 squared, which is 64, times 7. That would be too big because 64 times 7 would be 448. So that can't be an option. So anything with 8r just wouldn't make sense. Especially 49h, that's just way too big. Now let's take a look at C. Since our R is just 1 and our H is 1, it's going to be very easy to use. So if we did pi of 7 squared times 8, that is actually exactly 392 pi. Therefore, C would be your answer. Okay, so the circle above has a center O. The length of arc ADC is 5 pi. Gotcha. And x is equal to 100 degrees. What is the length of the arc ABC? So this is a quick proportion thing. So out of 100 out of 360 degrees, right? It's going to be 5 pi over x. Our x is just going to be 18 pi, because if we do 100 divided by 360 and multiplied, if 5 pi is this, we're just going to do this proportion here, and we would get x is equal to 18 pi. So now we're just going to do 18 pi minus 5 pi, and b, 13 pi would be our answer. Alright, and this is the last question of today's video here. So in triangle ABC and DEF, angles B and E each have measure of 27 degrees, and angles C and F each have measure of 41 degrees. So let's just draw these triangles out. A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so we're saying angle B is 27, angle E is 27, angle C is 41, angle F is 41. Now what would make it so that both of these triangles are going to be congruent to each other? Now we can already tell that these triangles are going to be similar because they both have 2 angles. But we need a side length that's going to be congruent on both triangles to make it actually congruent by some property, right? Now, the reason why it can't be A or B is because, for example, B, the length of side AB, you're only proving congruence on one triangle, not the other triangle. And the measure of angle A, once again, you're only proving it on one triangle. You have to prove congruency on 2 different triangles here through using a side length. And that's why C would be your answer. And D will never be your answer because no additional information is necessary. On the SAT, 100% of the time it will never be the answer because it'll always ask you a question where you actually need to find information. But yeah, that is it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope this came in clutch for you guys.